Alright, so now we're going to find the slope of a line, but we're only going to be given 2 points within a coordinate system. So rather than looking at a graph of a line or a linear function, you're just going to be given 2 points that fall on that graph. And you're not going to be able to count on your xy axis how many units up it's going, how many units over to the right, and then you put that number divided by the other one. You're going to have to use what's called the slope formula. And remember, each one of your coordinates is given in xy form, where x always comes first, just like alphabetical order, and then y comes second. Just a little extra reminder. So when you're only given the coordinates of the values of those 2 points in your xy axis, you have to use the slope formula. And the slope is still your change in your y's, but you're going to subtract both of the y values within your coordinates, and you're going to divide that then by the difference or subtraction of your x values. Remember, slope is the change in y over the change in your x. Okay, and I completely wrote over that last problem. Change. There we go. And the way that you change something is by taking the second value minus the first value and finding the difference between the two, seeing how much did it change to go from this to that. So what I like to do when finding the slope between two lines, when I'm not given any graph, is I label everything that I'm given. So the line that passes through 8, 2, and 3, 9, I'm just going to call this as my first point because that's what we're given. So this is x1 and this is y1, x2, here's a dead spot right here, x2 and y2. And then all we're going to do is take each of these values and plug it into our new slope formula. So y2 minus y1 goes on top, 9 minus 2, and x2 minus x1 go on bottom. Even if you decided that you wanted this point to be your x2, y2 and this point to be your x1, y1 and you just want to flip them, you still will end up with the same thing overall as long as you're taking care of all of your negatives and the rest of your arithmetic. So back to reducing this in slope formula, 9 minus 2 gives us 7. 3 minus 8 is a negative 5. And sometimes when you're writing these in your IXL, you may have to put the negative on top or completely in front, but as long as they're not both negative, then it doesn't matter. And you, of course, need to make sure that your fractions are reduced. 7 is prime, and 5 does not have any common factors at 7, so there's nothing you need to do from there. Now on to something a little bit more complicated. 97, negative 4, and 10, 74. Still labeling our points. Still plugging in the exact same formula that we just did, so y2 minus y1 on top. And in this case, we're given a double negative, which we'll take care of later. And then 10 minus 97. The really important reason why you label all of your points is so that you're not taking 74 minus negative 4 for the second one and then flipping the order when you're writing your x's. You always have to go from the same point to the same point when you're finding the difference of your y's and then when you're finding the difference of your x's. So say you had these 74 and 4, but then down here this was switched to 97 and 10. That would not be a correct way. If you switched both to put the negative 4 first and the 97 first, that would still be a correct way to find the slope between these 2 points. Double negative becomes positive, so you just add 74 and 4 to get 78. 10 minus 97, these two signs are different, so you're going to subtract 97 minus 10 to get 87, and you keep the sign of that number. Now 78 and 87 do have a common factor. The divisibility rule that I'm going to use to check these is to add these two numbers together, and you get 15, which is divisible by 3. So you're going to take 78 divided by 3, and I'm going to very quickly type this in the calculator. Some of you may be able to do this before I get it here on the video. 78 divided by 3 is 26. And 87 divided by 3 is 29. 2 plus 6 is 8. That's not a factor of 3. 2 plus 9 is 11. That's also not a factor of 3. They're not both even. 4 doesn't go into 29 or 26. 5 doesn't work for either of these. I'm pretty confident that that slope is going to be completely reduced. Now, we do have to, again, make sure that our negative, I'm just going to put it on top right here by the 26. You could keep it on bottom. Sometimes it'll work. Or sometimes you can just write it completely out in front of the entire fraction like this. Either one, just as long as you know that you have a negative slope, because this is going to be going down as it approaches the right or the positive direction of your x-axis. And just make sure they're all completely reduced. That's how you find the slope from 2 points.